Hello and welcome to Nerds Garage. We're here with another interview with my friends who are helping me make a game. Roll for
Hi.
initiative.
Mhm. Hello.
This week is going to be dedicated to classes in D&D. So this is going to be fun. Because one of the most important parts of a tabletop RPG is knowing how to play it. The purpose of Roll for Initiative is to teach people how to do that. And what I think of first, when I think of roleplay games, is what class my character is gonna be. Which is quite prevalent when I have like 800 characters just sitting that I've randomly made.
I feel that.
Every dungeon master feels that.
I can't relate. I'm sorry.
And then we have new player. Which is a good perspective to have compared to me who has 800 unfinished characters.
See, I just make my characters into NPCs and then get upset when they get killed by the party.
Oh, that's exactly what I did.
Now I'm wondering which ones.
We'll not get into that yet. Let's start with a pretty simple question for both of you. And this answer doesn't have to be correct, even though there is a correct answer. What are classes in D&D?
It's a great question. It's basically like an archetype of like how you operate in combat. So I guess that's how I would summarize it.
Michael has better words than I do, so practically the same answer.
Yeah, I would agree with Michael. It's the archetype.
Nice. 1 point.
1 point. This isn't a game show, but point to Michael.
Darn it, I'm behind.
This is a game where the points do not matter.
No.
So yeah, they're the basic archetype of what you're going to play. So then that would lead the next question to being, what makes classes different?
There's a lot of things that make classes different. There's 14 of them.
I know.
There's a lot. It really comes from where their abilities come from. So like you have like your magic based classes like sorcerers and wizards, but with wizards it's your magic comes from book learning, and with sorcerers it comes from within. Power of friendship or whatever. I guess that'd be bards that get it from the power of friendship and music.
Literal power of friendship.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the basic, super simple, less than 5-minute explanation of what classes are in roleplay games. The archetype you want to be and where you get your powers. Thank you. See you next week. Now let's actually dive into a couple of these classes that are primarily seen in Dungeons and Dragons, the Player's Handbook, the core classes, which are split up between casting classes, martial classes, and mixed classes. Michael, can you explain a bit about what I just said?
Yeah, so you mentioned 3 things, casting classes, martial classes, and mixed classes. So those are easy ways that we can differentiate the different classes. Casting are classes that focus on using spells and spell casting, hence the name casting. Martial are using bows, swords, anything physical that isn't made from magic. And then half-casters use a combination of the both. So wizards, warlocks, sorcerers, and bards are all considered casters, whereas barbarians, fighters, monks, and rogues are considered martials. And then things like clerics, druids, actually somewhat monks, paladins, rangers, those are technically half-casters, or like mixed classes. And then the 14th one that isn't on the list I'm looking at is Artificer, and that's also mixed, but that's
a bit more complicated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, the one who isn't a DM in here is currently playing a druid.
Yep.
How have you liked playing druid so far compared to stuff you've seen other people play in the past few months?
I mean, it has been fun that I can go in between either like fighting more physically or more with magic. I kind of like that balance that the druid has. So I can either wild shape and attack something physically, or I can stay in my normal form and use cone of cold and turn everyone into popsicles. So
Nice.
that's what I like about I believe I'm Circle of the Moon, is it?
Ooh.
Yes.
Circle of the Moon.
I don't have subclasses open. It does. That
I
would
do.
be moon.
Circle of the Moon. Yeah,
Yep.
that's a focus on wild shape transforming into animals. Nice.
Yeah.
And then for me, my favorite class is wizard. It's
Why?
the first class I played, going on 3 years now. It's just fun to throw spells at people.
Nice.
It's Gandalf. I'm the Gandalf of the group. I've tried playing other caster classes and one-shots and things, and I've tried the martial classes, but this is nothing quite like having a book of all the fun spells. And it's a bit more difficult to get spells when you're playing a wizard compared to the other ones.
Should we also say our favorite classes?
Yes, that's why I said wizard.
I'm stuck between two for mine. Alyssa, you can go first.
Druid.
She's only had the one.
But, I mean, the only shoot. I think I've played Druid in both characters that I do have. One of them I barely it was a campaign that barely got off in 2 weeks before everyone just suddenly vanished. And then the other one I've just been playing a lizard folk druid. So I've only had really much experience playing a druid, but I'd say that's my favorite class either way because wild shape. That is
Yeah, wild shape's really good.
I have met people that only play one class, and I've met people that play a different class every week. I find myself I always get pulled to wizard. So it is fine if you just go forward going, yeah, no, I'm just a druid.
I personally would recommend you to try all the classes. But
Oh yeah, try them all. It's just, for me, I always get drawn back to wizard.
See, I think I'm stuck between two, but I think I'm kind of call them even. I like Bard and Warlock the best. I played a Warlock for a long while in a homebrew campaign, and it just had so much utility with like spells. There's like 1 or 2 spells that you can pick with the Warlock invocations that you can just cast as many times as you want per day. And I think I got there was like something that let me fly, and then whenever I hit stuff, it would get pushed back, and then I could do like detect magic, and it was just so useful to have those that I could just whip out all the time, and I wasn't limited like a wizard by spell slots, except for my main spells. But then Bard, I played that in a Curse of Strahd campaign, and that was so versatile. That was so fun, and having like Song of Rest felt really useful, especially in like the big castle, because there were so many things coming after us that just short rests were super useful. It's just a really fun class. You get a lot of spells. Like a nice mixture that other classes don't get.
Those are pretty utility classes, both of them. Some people would say Warlock is a damage claess or something.
Warlock can really be made into whatever kind of class
anything.
you want.
Warlock is the anything class.
It's very versatile.
I'm currently playing a Hex Blade Warlock in a Waterdeep campaign, and I am primarily utility until I need to be damage, and I can just flip back and forth.
Nice. Using your magic sword as like a screwdriver.
Yes. It opens doors and closes
mouths.
I can't think of a good analogy. It opens doors and kills people.
It It opens doors and ends lives.
And there's a good one. Opens doors, ends lives.
Opens doors, closes caskets.
Beautiful.
Utility classes.
Utility.
And then you have I think there's a difference between the utility a healing class like Cleric can give and the utility a bard can give.
It's there's a lot about Cleric that I really like, where it's like built for situations where it has stuff like turn undead, and then each subclass of Cleric gets a different like group of monster or something that they can turn. And I really like that kind of. It feels like an in combat usability.
Now that was a lot of big words have been thrown around about things that people who don't know D&D won't
That's
really
true,
understand. Yeah. I'm now seeing. So let's just go one by one and give a quick rundown of each class.
All right.
And I'm just looking at the D&D Beyond, amazing resource if you want to look into Dungeons and Dragons. But let's just go through the main list there. Starting with everyone's favorite brute, the Barbarian.
Yeah.
This class is tanky, fighty, and just brute strength.
It's get angry and hit stuff, and you're so angry that you can't die. You just refuse death. Yeah. Like the Hulk.
Then you have the bard, which we just talked about, the utility musician with the power of friendship.
And instead of getting angry, you can be friendship and give friendship points to your friends, and it makes them better at being angry and killing things.
Then you have the cleric that gives life, and makes sure that angry people don't die.
And then the thing I was saying earlier, where you can turn things, they can be like, get out of here, and then things will have to get out of there. It's pretty sick.
And then this one's all you, Elisa. Druid.
Well, druids are normally more in tune with nature than other classes. They have a lot of spells, obviously, related to plants. Even you can teleport through plants and speak to them as well, and that's always fun. As you already know, my personal favorite is the Circle of the Moon Druid, because I love their wild shape capabilities. Because I could just turn into a bird whenever I want to, and or I can turn into a giant deer bird thing and gore people.
Yeah,
that's fun.
Nice.
Like
one
really weird explanation.
Other thing is druids. Again, this is more of a what's the word I'm looking for? An aesthetic to the class. They can't use metal. It's written into the class where they can't use anything man-made really with metal.
That comes from
that's fun to deal with.
That comes from folklore where, or at least from what I've heard, it comes from folklore where fairies can't touch iron or steel because it burns their skin. So it's like the druids have that same kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's inspired by that.
Mm-hmm.
Next is the fighter, which this isn't a bad thing, but it's the basic class. It's the neutral class. Its name says it all.
It's basic in the same way that vanilla is basic, but like
yes.
people still love vanilla ice cream. And
I think fighter is an amazing class. When I say it's the basic class, I don't mean that in a bad way.
It's like all you have is a sword and a shield, but at level 20, you're as good with that short sword and a shield as someone who can summon Cthulhu.
Basically, you can deal out as much pain as someone that can make meteors fall from the sky.
I've watched people clean whole fields of people on a single turn. It's impressive.
And then you have the fastest class, the monk.
It's like Iron Fist meets Doctor Strange.
Very much so. There's not much more to be said there. They punch things.
You get key points that you can use to do all sorts of ninja tricks.
Then you have the Paladins. This is a It's half martial, half magic.
So yeah, it's like a holy warrior.
The holy warriors, they have lots to smite. They bring the pain that the clerics clean up.
And these guys are fun because you have to take an oath when you become a paladin. So if you're looking to roleplay a character, these ones have role playing built in because you have to pick like tenets that you follow and things to fight for.
Then you have the ranger, the person who is in tune with nature, but
not as
less
much
in
as
the
druid.
magical sense, more in the hunter in the wild sense.
Like Aragorn.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're
And
they don't just use bows and arrows. They can use
They-
anything. It's more just
swords,
they're travelers.
panthers. Yeah, you can have animal companions with a ranger.
Mhm.
Then you got the rogues, the thieves, the scoundrels, the stealthy ones,
Sneaky stabby.
the sneakers.
Thank you. That's my well-informed D&D commentary. Sneaky
Yes.
stabby.
Sneaky stabby. And then lastly, there's 3 classes that pretty much just in a row, bang, 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 done. Sorcerer, Warlock, Wizard. Caster, caster, caster.
But they're all unique.
Yes.
So with sorcerer, you only get a limited number of spells. However, you can do all sorts of crazy stuff to them. You can use your innate magical power to shape the spells, make them all sorts of different, make them more powerful. Fire 2 spells at once. It's neat.
The Warlocks we've talked a bit about already. They're super utility casters.
And to play a warlock, you have to make a pact with a patron and give up your soul or something of the like.
Basically. And then you have Gandalf.
The wizard.
The class name is Gandalf.
This is the class for nerds.
Oh,
If you want to write down a bunch of stuff.
And those are kind of, we abridged it greatly, but those are the basic classes of Dungeons and Dragons.
And each of those have subclasses.
And we're not getting into that.
Yeah.
That's another video.
Yeah, there's probably too many of them.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot.
Now, there's one more thing I want to just talk about before we get into the actual game we're making. But I want to talk about common misconceptions people have about classes and Dungeons and Dragons. And I want to toss this question out to Elisa first. How is it? What have you heard before playing? How does it compare to just stuff you've heard around to actually playing it?
Oh boy. Well, I guess the stuff that I heard hasn't been too much different, but the stuff that I've heard sounded a lot less fun than when I actually started playing, and then it was awesome. So, like, what I'd heard before is that keeping up with everything that you have is going to be kind of tedious, of course, and there's just a lot of other I don't know how to put this into words better, but from basically what I've heard is that it was a lot to do, like all the stuff that you had to keep up with your character and everything in the story was just a lot. But then when I started playing, I learned more about the role play side and it was a lot more fun. Excuse my lack of better wording, but
And then throwing the question to a DM, Michael, what misconceptions have you seen players have coming into your games for first time playing?
I see a lot of players that want to make they come in like wanting to make very specific things, and don't want to play like the classes that help them make those things. Like I had someone come in and they were like, I want to play a spell sword. And I was like, you'll probably want to play like an Eldritch Knight fighter, because you'll get to play with your sword and go up close and have some spells that you can like launch off like attacks. They ended up playing a Blade Singer wizard, which was not at all intended for what they wanted to make. And they spent a lot of the game changing it to be how they wanted it. Eventually, they did really like how Blade Singer worked, but it's hard to understand a class until you really get into it and start playing it. And then also, especially as a DM, I wish I could play more so I could see how the classes feel when you're playing them.
Definitely. And for me, I'm just going to say this D&D horror story about myself. When I got into D&D, I just wanted to make an anime character. I literally, my first game ever, which lasted 2 weeks.
Oh, goodness.
Before it morphed into the 3-year one. It didn't like end and break up. We just switched. I wanted to play Armstrong from Full Metal Alchemist. And I tried to make it in a monk. And I learned very quickly they did not mesh. Those ideas do not mesh easily.
Well, that's one way to
Especially
learn.
at level 3.
Yeah.
There's that.
Nice.
But then we turned it around and we have a 3-year campaign now. So now let's jump into how all of this actually matters in our game. Roll for initiative. The game we're making, we currently have 2 classes being implemented into the game. Michael, can you explain a bit about the 2 classes and how we're putting them in?
Yeah, so the current classes that we have that we're looking at are Fighter and Ranger. And so the way we're implementing those is the main character is going to be the Fighter. Right now, how we have it is they have a different... Oh, hold on a second. So the Fighter has a greatsword and a dagger, and then right now the Ranger has a bow and arrow and a short sword. And so right now we're differentiating them using the weapons that we're giving them, but hopefully in the future we can give them abilities and such.
Cool. So yeah, right now we have the basic idea of their martial abilities, the weapons they use, the dice they use, and certain modifiers. And we're hoping, like you said, to get abilities soon. So now, what classes would you like to see past our alpha release? Both of you.
Can we give a which one I want to see and then which one I think we could see?
Yes.
I think you already know what my answer
Yes.
is.
Warlock?
No. No. I think it would be cool to make a druid, because I want to make the models for the wild shape and you can't stop me.
Okay, I guess we're adding druid now. Michael, get on it. Okay.
The one I'd want to add, I think, would be something like Warlock or Bard. I think, yeah, Druid would also be on that scope of maybe a little too large. But I think Barbarian could work really well, because I think it's a very, we have a very combat-oriented game, and Barbarian is a class that's very much focused into combat. Rage would be both easy to implement and fun to use, and then it's just fun to deal a swing sword, hit a lot of damage.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I would like to rage. We need a button that says, all caps,
Big
I
old
would
rage
like
button.
to rage.
Bam. I have a little button next to my bed that says survival button, and when you press it, it plays I will survive.
Me, I want to get Cleric in the game.
Ooh, that'd be cool.
I want some utility in there. Healing, turning, because this game does deal with undead.
Yeah, I was about to say having the turn undead would be very cool.
Past the first level, most enemies you face are undead of different variety.
Oh, that would actually be really cool. See, now I also got to think about what it would take to implement Cleric.
And that goes into my next question. What would it take to implement it was supposed to be 3, 4 or 5-ish classes we all just said?
Do we want to go through alphabetically?
Yeah.
All right.
Just to give people a basic idea of what it takes to take these classes from a book and make them digital.
So looking at Barbarian, from a design perspective, definitely want to get Rage in there. And then something like, I see like Reckless Attack, fast movement, stuff like that comes in later on. We honestly haven't talked too much about subclasses, so I don't know how much of that stuff we'd implement, but I'd like to give players like an option. But I think
subclasses are such a big thing that might be an episode into itself for this series.
Nice. But I think honestly just getting Rage in there and letting them have a few charges of that would be really good.
I don't see Rage being that difficult to implement, just having it be for a certain number of turns, the damage they take is halved.
Mm-hmm. Damage they take is halved, and then they make extra damage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And except for the bosses, there's not much actual magic damage that would go past Rage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that'd be interesting.
And then art-wise, we just need literally a shirtless dude with a big axe. That's a barbarian.
Big axe?
Axe.
Okay, cool. Just checking.
Big axe.
What was the next class we mentioned?
Bard.
Yeah. Oh, Bard.
We're going alphabetical.
Yep, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
So here, someone else can. I guess actually this is mine, so I guess I should answer up for this one.
Yes.
I like how Bardic Inspiration works. I love the idea that it's like working together, working with teammates, and since we have the multiple players in there, I think that would work well with it. Actually implementing it though, I think Bardic Inspiration would be possible because it'd be adding to another player's roll, so we could just call the dice, get that number, and then add that on whenever. So hey, that would be possible.
We need some instruments.
Yeah, that's another thing I was gonna say. It's getting a little like
art-wise. It would be. I feel like it would be more difficult art-wise than dev or design-wise.
Yeah,
because we'd need models that look like musicians and instruments. And how does an instrument attack?
Yeah, you just swing it like a hammer.
That's just a barbarian with a lute.
Also, we'd have to think about spells for that one.
Yes.
What were you saying, Alyssa?
I don't know. I would imagine like if someone was attacking physically with an instrument is different than attacking like magically with one. So it would probably you'd have to add some like, FX in there just to show that, hey, I'm hitting this person over here. Maybe add a bit of music notes to make it,
The music
like shoot with a trumpet horn.
No, just insulting them kills them.
You just gotta have a little text box above their head with all the random symbols and whatnot for cursing or whatever. Deals emotional damage.
And then we implement Guitar Hero.
Bard Hero.
Bard Hero. Next is Cleric.
Cleric.
I think would be incredibly difficult because that's a full caster.
Yeah.
And then you'd have to somehow. How would you tell the AI to run away?
I feel like that would be possible. Set like a new target for them to go to. I feel like we have the technology.
We have the technology.
Yeah, I think turning would be. I don't know how feasible that would be. That'd be a question for a programmer.
Yes,
We
have no programmers on the show.
Wait, we have programmers on our game?
Oh,
Since when?
and no, we don't.
I think accessing all of them wouldn't be too difficult. Once again, spells. But I do like having the idea of having a healer. That would be very good. We'd get to make enemies a lot stronger.
Yes, we would.
Oh boy.
And then on
we
the
just want to do all
art side of things for clerics, I think it would be easy because it's just a guy in armor or lady in armor.
I mean, it would just be of course, the model of the cleric. Any weapons they would have, or any props.
We'd probably already have the weapons on hand because they just use, unlike a bard who uses the instruments, clerics use swords, maces, hammers, shields.
Traditionally, a cleric uses a blunt weapon because they're not supposed to draw blood, much like how druids aren't supposed to wear metal. Actually.
Okay, then what do you call? Oh God, what's the spell? It's like 3d10 necrotic damage.
Yeah, inflict wounds.
Inflict wounds. Do they draw blood with that?
Not if it's just bruising. Oh God. Inflict bruise.
Inflict bruise.
Inflict magical bruise. They just appear. Wow. And
whenever you see it, you're compelled to go, ow.
Then we'd have to make enemies a lot easier.
Perfect. All right. Next one is druid. That'd be easy to make. So Alyssa, what would we need?
Wait. Alyssa, how would you design and program?
How would I design and program one? Let's see.
And then Michael, how would you handle the art?
Same way I handle design. Hand it off to someone else.
Oh God. For the druid, of course, you'd have to have, the spells a druid could actually use, and then also wouldn't have to let them use any sort of, their model would have no metal on it no metal items whatsoever. There would also be the fact that you have to make all the wild shape forms that they could possibly turn into.
We have weapons they can pick up in the game already. Mm-hmm. What if a druid picked up like the spear or something and it damaged them?
That would be something.
That'd be cool. I would also say we could probably program it so they can't pick up those things.
I know, that's cool, but also I just want to go like ow, drop it.
Or give them the option, like, you have a feeling that this is going to hurt you. Pick it up anyway. And if they pick it up anyway, it's going to hurt.
But the easy option is just make it to where they can't pick it up. But then, me being the artist, I want them to pick it up. And then the wild shape.
Oh.
Mechanically,
we'd have to make
I have no clue how that would work.
Yeah, I think mechanically I would just set it similar to how Tasha's Cauldron of Everything does different animals, where you could have a flying one, a swimming one, and a land one. And they'd all have different stats, and then you could just pretend it turns into the animal you want it to be.
Yeah. You click a button and you're a seagull, but in your imagination it's a hawk.
Yeah, it's just a gray bird standing there, not even flapping its wings. There's a piece of text above it that says, "Close your eyes."
You stare at it for long enough, it's going to turn into an eagle. All you'll see is an eagle, not this gray box of a bird that you have.
Yeah, mechanically, you press a button, the player character disappears, an animal takes place.
It's easy, you know.
The way you said that makes me think it's not.
Hide it with some effects. Just a big
Yeah,
whoosh
actually-
of magic, and then it switches right in between.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then we'd have to make the effects.
Well, we already
I don't
have
think it would be that hard. Just take one that we already have and change the color and enlarge it a little bit.
Explosion and make it green.
the Advanced Magic FX Toolkit 2. We have that. We can use all the
Yes.
possible effects from that. And then we have Magic Transforming Druids. Remember at one point when I was adding in a bunch of spells?
Yep, I do remember that.
Good times.
Good times.
Yep.
Anyway, so our 2 classes, Fighter and Ranger. Do we just want to go through all the classes and see how feasible they'd be to add?
Yeah, let's try that. Let's go.
Fighter, very feasible. It's already in there. We need to add
Action
Second
surge.
Wind. Yeah, Action Surge and Second Wind. Yeah. And we could probably have Action Surge be like once a level.
Once a level, it seems fine.
Yeah, I think also having the abilities that like would recharge on a long rest, recharge like once a level, and then short rest have something that you could recharge them on short rest. It wouldn't be directly like exactly how it is in D&D, but I think it
Yeah.
give you a good
Again,
feeling of like what it's like when you're in
The
that
game
combat.
is not 1-to-1. It's more of a starting point.
Yeah, it's like 1 to A, you know?
Yeah.
And the model's already in there, so
Yeah. They're
Perfect
technically
for
still
ours.
using the wizard model. We have a fighter model somewhere.
Monk.
Punch, 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 punch.
But also
we would just need to give them more actions and some sort of key.
Yeah. The thing that I'm concerned about that though is the classes that we have right now aren't using bonus actions, so we need to figure out a way to make bonus actions.
Because most of their abilities would be bonus action based.
It'd be like attacking and then using the thing to like get away or dodge or attack again. It's all good stuff. But I think that one wouldn't be too. Besides the key, it wouldn't be too difficult. And then art-wise, what would we need for that?
Monkey-looking man, and not like a monkey.
Well, have of course a model for the monk, depending on what kind of design you'd want for it. I would imagine he would be he'd be like from old Mortal Kombat with like the classic fighting uniform on, not really any shoes or gloves or anything. They're all
bandage wraps, maybe a headband.
Definitely a headband, and the headband's always constantly fluttering in the breeze behind him.
Yes.
There may or may not be a breeze there, but it's still going to be fluttering anyways.
Yeah,
Just
exactly.
for the coolness.
I think that'd be the most important part of getting Monk in there, is getting that.
We have our priorities set.
Yes.
Paladin.
Smite.
Yeah, Smite.
For people that don't know what smite is, can you explain smite?
If you touch someone with a small dagger and you smite them, all that remains is a pile of ash. Now imagine that with a two-handed longsword. That's it. Thank you.
When you hit with the melee attack, a paladin can use their smite to deal a bunch of extra radiant holy damage.
It is.
I just imagine visually just a small poke, and then all of a sudden a very huge and violent beam of light comes down from the sky. Everything's just shaking, and then they're just...
The more we're talking, the more our game turns into a parody game.
They do also get lay on hands, where you can heal with magic. You get a pool of magic that you can heal from, and it's equal to your paladin level times 5. So we'd probably give them like 5 or 10 hit points per level. And you can use that on yourself or others. Yeah, that'd be fun. That'd be nice to implement.
And then model-wise, probably just the fighter model, but changed a bit.
Yeah, add a sword, add a shield.
Put a helmet on it.
Yeah.
The big art part is going to be the VFX of the holy light smiting people.
Just want a bolt of lightning to come down.
And then we add in the holy hand grenade.
Yes.
Yes.
1, 2, 5. Ranger.
That one's in the game.
Yeah, that one's in the game. Pretty easy to implement. It's already in the game. Favorite enemy and natural explorer.
The new version of favorite enemy is more like just an extra version of Hunter's Mark.
Yeah.
So, explain Hunter's Mark.
So Hunter's Mark is the thing where you're in a forest and you see a deer and you like train your eye on it and you watch it and track it for a while and it like lets you shoot it better. So in game, you pick an enemy and then anytime you hit that enemy while you have a Hunter's Mark on them, you'll deal extra damage. But you got to concentrate on that one enemy.
You could probably choose 2 enemies per level.
Yeah.
Because they have a few slots of it in the actual Dungeons and Dragons game. So here, splitting it up between levels, you'd have 1 or 2 uses per level.
Mm-hmm. And I think I might want to. I think if we could, I'd like to add in a few spells. They have one thing that's really interesting about Ranger is a lot of their spells are flavored so that they're more like tools or abilities, like a bear trap or something. So I think having like something get set down and then trick enemies into walking over would be really cool.
And it would also be our first steps into actually making spell slots and magic.
Yes, yeah, that too. Next up, actually, wait. What would we need? We have Ranger.
We have Ranger. We have the art.
Yep.
All right. Rogue. Sneak thief.
Sneak attack.
Sneak attack. Yeah.
I think we would do this one in the route that Divinity and other turn-based games have done, where instead of sneak attack working like in Dungeons and Dragons, sneak attack works if you're behind them.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe. I think with ours, I think it works for Divinity really well because it's not limited to that grid system. So with ours, it'd be like kind of, I feel like it might be a little blocky. I don't know. I have to think about that. But I was thinking how they have it in game where if the opponent you're attacking is within 5 feet of another ally, then you get, then you're able to do sneak attack. And I like that one because I think especially for this game, there's a lot of focus on like positioning and where you're standing. And I think that always makes you think about it and consider that. And it's always good to think about tactical role-playing in a tactical role-playing game.
And then art-wise, we just need a hooded, brooding-looking man who only talks about not having parents and out to kill a man.
Yeah. Oh, so you've played Rogue before.
I want so badly. I don't like Rogue I like class. I don't like playing it. But I want to make a rogue that has a family and is really happy and is just doing it to make some money or learn the art of stabbing better.
Good. Sorcerer.
This one is difficult.
A lot of magic. I think I'd want to put in the...
Let's hold off on talking about sorcerer and wizard.
Well, there's one thing I wanted to say that I had seen and I had thought about. I'll say real quick. Scoped spell. I'd want it to change the shape of the spell and not just ignore people in the way. I think that's more interesting.
Oh, I want it to change like the element. I want to go completely.
Cool. You can do that with the new Tasha's one.
Oh, god damn it.
Yeah.
I want to play sorcerer now.
So we'll just say real quick about sorcerer. You just get a few spells, but you get to change how they get used. Warlock. Warlock would be funky.
Yeah. Let's save that for the caster episode. We're gonna have an entire episode on magic and casting.
I will say just like quick 2 cents. I think the issue that comes with Warlock is it's such a customizable class that having one set Warlock wouldn't be doing the class justice.
To put it even simpler, Warlock could literally be the only class in the game, and it would cover everything if we put all of Warlock in.
To put it even simpler, Warlock.
The Swiss Army knife of D&D classes.
That's exactly it.
Who's next?
That's it. Wizard?
Really?
Yeah. Warlock, Wizard.
What am I? Oh, I was thinking Artificer.
Oh,
Artificer, just
there is
because.
We haven't mentioned that one yet.
This is one that was added in to 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons a bit after all the other classes came out.
So Artificer is all about like magical tinkering and making things. So it's like making magic items, enhancing your friend's armor, making a magic gun. Are we allowed to say gun? Making a magic gun. Yeah. I don't know why we wouldn't be.
Well, now we need Gunslinger.
Yeah, a gunslinger. You can actually make like little cannons and stuff.
It's like a mad scientist.
Yeah, I think that one would work in our game if we had any sort of equipment system, and if it wasn't like kind of preset stuff. Because
I think that would work in the full release, but not the alpha release.
That'd be cool to have in the full release because we could.
It might be. I know Wizard is my favorite class to play, but it might be my favorite class just in concept alone.
I did play one a little bit. It was right when it came out though, so I don't think I was playing it how it was like intended, but I did have a lot of fun with it. It felt like a very upfront kind of wizard. It definitely felt like a spell sorty kind of class. It's you're very much able to go do frontline combat, but you also don't have to.
Yeah.
That's a good way of putting it.
I guess to wrap up this whole bit on classes is we want Roll for Initiative to be, just like everything else in the game, like a stepping stone into all kinds of tabletop worlds. They're not one-to-one, but we're taking the concept, the idea, and how they feel to play and making them virtual.
We want
you to play
this, and that's accurate. Play this, and then you could hop into a D&D game with your friends next time, and someone could be like, roll initiative, it's your turn, and you're gonna know what to do. And even if you don't, you'll have some sort of idea of what to do.
I know. I mean, when we add in the big head cheat codes and like the insta kill and the kill streaks, the DM you're playing with might be confused, but
like it's like you know what they say, DM or D&D is the best when it's like a video game. That's a joke. I'm kidding. Don't.
So why are we doing this again?
Making 4th edition.
Okay, we're gonna skip over that.
But it's gonna be a good introduction for people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do we have a build of the game?
I do.
And let's end this week's little podcast of Roll for Initiative with a look at the current state of Roll for Initiative.
All right. This is going to instill confidence. It's an unknown publisher, but I wanted to run it from the beginning because I believe we should have a very special intro.
Are you sharing audio? Oh, we don't have audio yet.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
You can see my screen though, right?
Yes, we can see everything. We see a Word doc. We see Google. Okay. There we go.
All right, hold on a second. Let's try that again.
Ooh.
So here's the tutorial. Here's the fighter. We got the Ranger. Picking up some weapons. Finally, you've snuck into the armory. Time to arm yourself to the teeth and get out before the guards get back. Once you get your weapons and pinch a little gold, you should head for the exit. You can see some books on the table too. Might be worth checking out. But you can hear guards outside. No way around it. Once you've armed yourself, head outside and get ready to fight. So you can also interact with the stuff on the table. Can't read what's written here, but it looks like some sort of dungeon. And when there's a dungeon, there's treasure. You'll have to head there when you get out of here. Oh, there's still stuff on the table to interact with? Don't mind if I do. You look over the table, scraping together as much gold as you can. In total, you find 15 gold pieces. You add it to your inventory. And you can see the number of gold down there has increased. Open these doors. Do some murder. Nice. Oh, goodness. Oh, they keep disappearing into the blocks. Oh, but I got that guy. He's coming for me.
When did we add Ragdoll?
I think that was when we added the enemy death. Nice. Alright. Dagger.
Oh,
A hit. Nice.
oh, the giant dagger.
Hit. Big old dagger. Nice. So that should take us to the first level.
Awesome. Now let's save this part for next week.
Yeah, get a little preview of what we'll be encountering and a little tease of a fancy dungeon door, maybe.
Big door.
Big door. Maybe there's something behind it. Wouldn't you like to know?
No, there's not. The game ends in 1.5 levels.
We made a tutorial and then just a picture of the first level.
Well, thank you guys, for coming in today and talking about classes and learning about classes and theorizing about the future of classes.
Yeah.
It's all classy.
Thank you, everyone, for watching. We will be back next week for another look into what we're doing with this game. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.